Alright, I'm in a bad fucking mood. So we'll see how this goes. Pardon my language, the first 5 seconds in, it's a Charlie Atherton show, episode 2. Pardon my fart. Wish I had a real fart there for you. Well, word's been going around my old office about the knockdown dragout I had with my boss that led me to making this show. Got a couple phone calls from some people at the station telling me I did the right thing. They're rooting for me. So, Tim, gotta remember to, bleep that name out. Tim, you can fuck yourself. Excuse me. I think on Friday I'm gonna send some flowers in there as a big FU. You know, since it's 420, maybe I'll go in there and show them how Big Charlie does it. You know, walk right in the lobby, light up a blunt, and say, kiss my ass, and the stars on the American flag, and blah, blah, blah. Last time I wasn't too happy with how much jib-jab and riff-raffing I did in the first couple of minutes. You know, because you guys are here for some sports. So I apologize for that. Like I said, I don't want to sound like a bitter ex, but we're going to get right into it today. Big MMA show today. I saw, we're going to go in order by date here. I saw, if you're like me, you're a fight fan. A lot of these guys on YouTube, a lot of these new guys, they go, I'm a fight fan, man. And whenever it's on, I gotta see it. There's a couple bites of Dana doing that. He's just doing a good job selling the show. I think a lot of you guys out there are posers, and I don't call you a poser to detract from your moxie, and your ego and your social currency. Don't let me do that. I don't want any more metal flying my way. I say it as in, I don't think you like fights as much as you think you like fights. If you've missed a fight night in the last couple of weeks, I don't think you can put yourself in that category. Now, where there is an exemption with that is if you still tune in to the bare knuckle boxing league, and if you've seen at least 3 of those, okay, you get a free pass, you get a free space on your bingo board from me. But first fight promotion this week with a card, PFL. Now, I do a little bit of writing on the side. That's another tale for another time. But if you're a fan of writing, you're a fan of literature. There's just flat out not a lot of people that are into that. Besides your Nono and Nana. And point being, there's not a whole lot of people that you can talk shit about the Lions or the Tigers until you're blue in the face. But you try bringing up the fights to people and they look at you like you're a fucking barbarian, like you call another guy over and let him wrangle your wife. Oh, just me? Again, another thing I'm trying to relate to people, and that's probably just me. But tying in the fight fans, and the nuanced, fight love, PFL, you gotta love it like an ugly stepchild. Everybody's favorite quip when the PFL's on, Bellator's on, they go, okay, now we're watching the worst fights of a UFC. We're watching the early prelims of a UFC card, and honestly, it can get a lot worse than that too. It really can. The UFC is so high in value now and so high in competition that they've made these other leagues obsolete. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. Comment below your favorite PFL fight or your favorite Bellator fight that you've seen. Even in the last 2 calendar years. But other than that, every time I'm watching, there's a lot of walking down. There's not a whole lot of punches. I'm sure if they could get them, they would. But if they had a whole bunch of, sluggers in there and, Tyson-esque 50-second matches, they might be able to do good. They might be able to, prop some people up on social media. But anytime I tune into a fight, it's already hard. And you guys have hosted fight nights. You got, you hype it up. You hype up a fight. The fight comes on, and two dudes are looking at each other, or two dudes are point fighting, they're rolling around, and your friend's girlfriend is sleeping. You were trying to impress her, so, maybe she gives you a couple side eyes and you feel like a man once in a while. But now she's like, okay, my boyfriend's a loser, and my boyfriend's friend's an even bigger loser. So until they add that public, that public draw, that public factor to the PFL, they're not even getting, hardcore fight fans at this week. I don't mean to diss on. They're doing a good job, and they're obviously dropping some good, some good cash in it. But it's always some UFC throwaways, and they get thrown away from the UFC for a reason. The UFC is pretty good with their cuts. People think that Dana is this, villainous, vampiric miser hoarding his money and not paying people, and that's another story. I'm not gonna make that a declarative statement, but his team and him are good at keeping good people on and cutting bad people. I think I heard him say at one time they have over 450 fighters signed. That's unbelievable. Is there even that many people in the NBA? I mean, come on. But this week, highlighting the PFL promotion. Oh, that's tonight. What am I saying? Hopefully I can get the show out, so maybe a little bit of commentary can be there. But 420, PFL, Jeremy Stephens and Clay Collard fighting tonight, top of the PFL card. I'll have it on in the background. Actually, NBA playoffs might be on. That's some hard competition. We'll also get into that later. But man, the NBA really, really bringing their stuff this year and showing that they can have team. The one thing the NBA is better about than a lot of pro sports leagues is they make a lot of their professional teams something worth watching, something worth tuning in that night. The draft seems to go a little bit more in people's favors in the NBA. One guy here or there can make your team watchable, a la the Detroit Pistons with Cade Cunningham, who should be the rookie of the year. But you're hearing that from a guy from Oakland County, Michigan. What else do you think I'm gonna say? That's another topic for another episode. I'd love to touch on that tomorrow's episode. When the results come out and we inevitably know it's going to be Mobley. I think it's Evan Mobley. I apologize if I'm getting his first name wrong. And let's just say it how it is. I've had the pleasure of seeing Cade Cunningham ball out in person. Okay, his size, his speed, not necessarily the speed, but the man is in tune with the rhythm of the universe. There are just some guys that it's like when the quarterback drops back and he's just chilling in the pocket, he's tall, he can see over the line. I see a lot of that in Cade Cunningham. And we haven't had a guy or a star like this that can score at will against a lot of the high-level players in the NBA. That's got to be one of the best feelings for a kid in the world. Getting into the league, worrying if he's going to pan out or not, doing one of the most statistically impossible things, and then you go out there and you can shine and razzle dazzle on the best of them. But he. Not taking anything away from Mobley. I bet if Cade Cunningham didn't exist, people wouldn't even be, having a discussion there. Mobley's playing like a grown man, that's playing for a salary, playing for his family. That's the difference in the league between a lot of people. If you can work well, you really are a colleague when you get to the professional league. And both of those guys, I see adults there. But lost my train of thought, stroking Cade Cunningham here. We were talking about PFL, Jeremy Stephens, and Clay Collard. Jeremy Stephens, as I said, wouldn't call him a UFC throwaway. Don't want to disrespect him. I remember watching him throughout the years, and good card filler. Warrior goes out there and bangs. But with this guy Clay Collard here, I couldn't even make up a take on this guy. And that's okay. What's even worse than me forgetting and these names and not having a good take for these guys is when they match somebody up like Jeremy Stevens with a Clay Collard type, winning record, long winning record, has had his way in other leagues, other minor leagues. When the UFC person goes in there and loses, I'm sure MMA Twitter, that's one of the most gladiator, burning at the stake, dragging them to the town square for a stoning, that I see with these guys is when a UFC person goes to the bare knuckle, goes to the PFL, goes to the Bellator, and they get staunched, or they just flat out don't even win. They should be beating most of these guys, right? They lose, and everybody on Twitter lets them hear it. That's got to be one of the lowest lows of all time. It's one thing to get dunked on. It's one thing for somebody to catch a pass over your head. It's another thing to lose and get your ass beat and know that you have no more avenues. I allude this to when you're scrolling on Twinder, you get through all the broads, you get to the bottom, and you realize, oh my God, there's no women left in my area. It's a sobering thought. But Bellator, could be Friday. Got my dates mixed up here. I'm telling you, Carolyn, I'm missing you. That's my old producer. I need you, girl. You kept me on the straight and narrow. I should have been giving you half my salary all these years. I bet you're listening. Thanks for everything. We got Bellator next, regardless of the date. I know it's within the next 2 or 3 days. Only thing that caught my eye on that, Liz Carmouche, another, UFC scraps, UFC, chicken bones is Liz Carmouche and Juliana Velasquez. I think I got her last name right. Hey, I'm writing up the synopsises, the analysis on a lot of fights that we're gonna see this week. This is gonna be the more heavy MMA show of the week. Excuse me. But for this one, all I got in my notes, grainy pictures. That sums up so much of this fight. When I was looking up, what these girls have been up to, because I'll be honest, I got a lot of sports to watch. I got a lot of things to talk about and cover. You think I'm really keeping up on Liz Carmouche and Juliana Velasquez? I'd be able to put some more stank on her last name because I'd be practicing it and saying it all the time. But when I looked up highlights for both of them, grainy old videos. Think I saw a fucking Monster Energy banner in the back of one of them. That's old, bro. That's all you gotta say. 2 older women striking it out at the top of a Bellator card. Bellator had their best guys with McKee and Pitbull fight last week. Look how that turned out. Pure drama. Pure fucking circus and no action. Walking down, staring at each other. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the gloves are a different size in Bellator and in PFL. They look a little squishier. Could be wrong. Leave me a comment. Tell me I'm full of shit. But there's just something about these fights that there's no level of super pizzazz to them. But I've said that ad nauseum. Fucked up the punchline, but basically these bitches are blurry. These bitches are grainy. There's nothing about this fight that's gonna make me tune in to it. God bless Bellator. You are the methadone of the UFC. I appreciate everything you do, but you're not gonna get anything from me this week. Moving on. We're gonna break down this week's card. I know last week's fight. Last week's UFC fight night. That's what they're turning into. That's been a large discussion on MM. Are the fight nights losing a little of their pizzazz? The MMA dude, shout out the MMA dude. Man, is he just prolific in the MMA Twitter game. He posted a picture. He was at the, I think 227, 225, I could be wrong, but just showing the example that even the quality of the pay-per-views have dropped a little bit. My take on that, I don't think the talent's going down. I think the talent's better than it really has ever been, and you can't deny that. The talent for anything doesn't get worse. I think that a lot of the spots that used to go to different level fighters, now go to social media prevalent fighter, because it's eyeballs. Dana's running a business. The more popular person, the bigger draw is always more important in the fight business. It has to be. I've never owned a goddamn thing in my life, and I could even tell you that more eyeballs, more dollars, more tickets, more blow, more side pieces for Mr. Dana White. One of the funniest videos of all time is Colby Covington running up on Dana White with one of his side pieces at a blackjack table. I truly one of my favorite pieces of media to ever exist. And I don't think this is going to stay, the UFC's up and down. One of the most, you got to give it to the people that run it. It's one of the most unpredictable leagues in the world, and they just go nowhere but up. Cite your reasons why they make so much money, but how can a goofball circus like, and this is a hyper example, but how can a goofball circus like the Paul brothers, fighting Snoop Dogg or whatever, make at least double-digit $1 million in a night? Let's say 50 million. We're being polite with it, because it's eyeballs. Because kids want to gather around and see it. That's the most appealing. One UFC watch party on a shitty fight weekend is just as good as Super Bowl Sunday, and I will mark my words on that. You can have Super Bowl Sunday all year round for a fight night. It just is a different draw. So by bringing in guys with all the hype, you want to see that happen. The likes of Ian Gary, Sean O'Malley, Patty, this new wave of spunky, bouncy guys with lots of followers. And not all of them are good shit talkers or anything, but people, look at Kamzat. You can just blow up overnight if people think you're the real deal. So those were all examples of good fighters and, people that get appropriate and adequate spots on the card. But I think a couple people sneak through the cracks that have, a little bit of notoriety, or, Dana's like you and me. He probably doesn't know all these guys either. He's probably having somebody say, this kid's legit. He does spinning back kicks. He'll knock out your mama. You got to have him on the card. And, he puts him on the card, and they're not the best, and that I'm sure he eats that loss, and it's not like he paid him a whole lot of anything. It works out, and that's probably why they keep their overhead low. But you can keep your overhead low by having you still watched it. You go and see a shitty movie, you still bought the ticket. You know what I mean? He's pocketing that money, so I don't think the quality's going down there. I think that there's just a lot more chances for dips and lulls, for bad fights to show up when somebody that's got a lot of hype doesn't pan out and isn't the real deal. So I thought that was a good topic that the MMA dude touched on this week, and a lot of people seem to gravitate towards it because you can use a lot of examples. But bottom line being, I think there's a lot more social media fighters getting the nods over people that are that still sweep floors at night and then throw hands 16 hours a day trying to make it big. So great topic there, great subject. Let's get into the UFC fight night this week. We got Clay Guida at the top. Oh God, who is he fighting? Versus Claudio Puelles. And you got at the very tippy top, Jessica Andrade and Amanda Lemos as well. That sounds like kind of like the Bellator title, Bellator main event that I read off earlier. Not saying that level of an insult, but a very, very, very bold move, having the girls highlight the top. Dana would have to put on his extreme Dan Blazarian Texas Hold'em face, to tell you that this is going to be a good fight, because you just can't tell me it is. Maybe we're watching fights for two different things, but for that to be the top, I mean, even putting Guida as a co-main event is a stretch too. Like, who did you guys not have this week? There's just a lot of third choices on this card. The whole fight is made up of but the thing is, the whole card is made up of a good meat of a good cards, bad fights. So let's start at the top. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'll show you what I mean. I'm getting all this. I'm sorry. I'm fading over here. I'm getting all this drama from my old work. People cursing my name. Dragging me through the mud. And it's hard not to get angry and distracted. I apologize, guys. Though. Dwight Grant, the body snatcher, fighting Sergey Kondazoko. Dwight Grant, the body snatcher. He is the body snatcher. He lives up to his name. Super fist, Mega Man punch. Falco punches people to sleep. Fighting a really well-rounded, it seems. If you've watched a shitload of Sergey fights, you're lying to me too. But after doing research on him, after watching a couple highlights, couple fights here and there, clicking around with the mouse, he's well-rounded. You got good striking versus a well-rounded guy. Personally, I think, the UFC gods would want, and when I say UFC gods from here on out, that's going to be, speaking in favor of the UFC. Good for the business, good for the brand. The MMA gods, completely different, and, completely different governing body. You know how religion goes. I would say the UFC gods would want Mr. Dwight Grant to snatch the body of Sergey and become a name, become exactly what I'm talking about. He sees these guys that are the athleticism and the physical specimens that are coming up in the UFC. There's always that great conversation of, imagine if LeBron James, was X. So, they'll use it for bowlers. They'll use it for, pool champions or whatever. Bad examples. But point being, somebody that, the best sports are getting the best athletes. They've talked about it with baseball forever. Mr. Big Guy on the Yankees, he's built like a brick house. He could have been a tight end. He could have been a forward. But guys with those special Adonis Division I professional bodies that allow them to be better than everybody else in the world, they don't like getting punched in the face. Not everybody can deal with that. So you don't get the best there, but you get the best conditioning. And when you get people that are the physical specimens, the Division I bodies, I mean, look at Greg Hardy, for example. That's probably the best example I can give you. Best transition. A wrestler or somebody that was, formerly a wrestler is too easy. But somebody, a defensive lineman body transitioning to the UFC, and he gets put on every fucking pay-per-view card. You know what I mean? They're just better. I grew up with athletes. They're just better than you, and you have to eat it. So Dwight, great physicality. They probably want him to win this one. How do I see this one going? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think anybody will go to sleep, but I think Grant will be hunting a little bit. I'm sure he doesn't want to, have the round go long with somebody who's as well-rounded as Sergey, because he'll probably lose by points. Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja, I believe. I don't even have that here, so if I rattled that off the top of my head, fuck you, Dad. I don't have Alzheimer's. Fighting Mr. Marc-Andre Barut here. I think that Jordan's the Canadian, I believe. He's lost, Joaquin Buckley before. Great striking again. Does not make mistakes. Look at the loss. Look at the losses over there. Mark gets hit a lot more. So, if the shitty math, if the shitty logical equation, A equals B equals C type deal, I got going on over here. Jordan Wright evades, doesn't get hit, either wins by points, or I'm feeling a little bit of a tune-up in this one. Jordan's just got strong hands. Mark, frankly, just don't know a whole lot about him. But I think the great striking will carry Jordan, and I think he's seen, competition where Mr. Mark wouldn't scare him. And I got my fights out of order here. Forgive me. We're going to move on to the fight that I want to see. I guess I won't say fight. I guess there's a couple more fights that I can argue. But a prospect that I really want to see tonight or this Saturday is Charles Jourdain. I think another Canadian here. Probably a lot of Canadians on the card. They probably carpooled, probably rode the same bus or something. Nickname Air Jourdain. Air Jordan obviously played on his airness, Mr. Michael Jordan. This kid, he's got that name for a reason. He floats. I love his acrobatics. That's why I want to tune in. I want to see if there can be a genre. You have to be pretty grounded in mixed martial arts, especially in the UFC. There's just not a whole lot of room for people that are all over the fucking place. But somebody like, Charles, he can use that to his advantage. He can get in and out. He can keep his range. People like to see that. People like to see the movement. It's just a more entertaining way to win and strike. People like the fluidity. I think that's why people liked Anderson so much. People like Mr. New Zealand. Oh my goodness, you guys are gonna kill me when his name escapes me. Oh my God, Mr. 180 from New Zealand, but Stylebender, Izzy. Why do people like him so much? Go check his follower count. Why do so many people follow him? They love the flashiness. They love the counter strikes, the analytics. I think Charles, will fare better against Lando here. If nothing flashy happens, I could see a decision, maybe going in either of their favor. Not a big dog in the fight. I don't think, they're that far. There's that far of a discrepancy between them. But number one prospect I want to watch, next to Alexander Romanov, who we're going to talk about here next, is definitely Charles Jourdain. Fight after this, the only undefeated person on the card, Mr. Alexander Romanov versus the seasoned Tanner Bozier. We've watched these guys fight. I've watched Tanner fight forever. Alexander, he reminds me of Ben Rothwell in size. I think the last fight that Alexander had, he just picked up his opponent and threw him across the ring, ragdolled him. He is a strong big guy. He is a big guy that happens to be strong. And there's a couple big guys out there that just aren't as physically strong as him. He's light on his feet, but man, he is just naturally explosive and physically imposing. Probably one of the better fights on the card. Last four guys that Alex has fought are undefeated as well. So if you were going to say it'd be nerves, if you were going to say, which I'm sure there's no nerves at the Apex, even if you're on a main card, but Alex has just got everything going towards him. Tanner, he's been there before. He might be getting Sam Allied a little bit here, fed to the Lions, tossed up, but I think Alexander wins a decision, if not a finish. He's just fucking terrifying and strong. If he wins this one, they will definitely give him some top-level talent. He's coming off a win with Jared Vandera, another fellow fat guy. I'd love to have a McDouble eating contest with him, but if Alex fights a really bad fight, Tanner might be able to exploit a little bit, but as far as talent goes, Alexander's got the nod. Brings us to the end of the evening here, and the least one I want to talk about, but it's supposedly the most important fight of the evening. Jessica Andrade and Amanda Lemos. What, you want to see two older broads roll around in the ring? Be my guest. This doesn't really have any stipulations attached to it. Amanda's not that old. I apologize, sweetie. But Amanda's, she's getting good. She's getting there. And it's funny that they feed her such an odd, not necessarily oddball, but they feed her a prospect where Jessica is so small, she's had to learn to fight as a small person. So she's very good at taking away what you're good at and exploiting you and making her fight. So if we're wanting to see this performance of Amanda Lemos, stylistically, Jessica's going to not allow this to happen. She very well could come out here and wrap her up and get a win back that she hasn't had in a while. So I'll be curious to see how Amanda, competes with Jessica. Does she try to stand up? Does she keep the distance? But I just don't. Jessica's been there before. I don't think she's gonna see anything she hasn't seen before. Stylistically, I think this might suck if these guys aren't throwing hands at each other, which I don't see happening because Jessica probably doesn't even want to take that risk. So, probably got Jessica on the if my wife would still let me bet on fights, probably bet Jessica. But not really catching my eye too much. I'll probably be sleeping with my dick out and my mouth open by them and some sour cream and onion chips in the left hand. And when I wake up, we'll see which hand takes over there. But that's all I got on the card. That's Saturday. It says, my sources say, it's going to be a 9 o'clock main card. I'll see it when I believe it. They adjust those times all the time. You never know really until, that Saturday. But I basically skipped last weekend and sounds like I didn't miss much. I will be tuning in this weekend. I think there's a lot of just middle of the mall fights that could go either way that will make for some good entertainment. Definitely want to see Jourdain and Romanov on this card. Moving on, and this will be the third act of the show here. NBA playoffs yesterday. Hawks and the Heat started off. Then we had the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies. Nice of Ja to bounce back there. I loved him. Absolutely loved him posting the Jordan clip of him talking about, it's one thing to talk shit when you're up 1-0. But a man who talks shit when it's 0-0, that's a man. And, it's just seeing the presence of joy. Back then, celebrities, it's not like celebrities aren't celebrities now, but everybody kind of bites off each other. They follow the same mold. How to not act out. There was a lot more characters and eccentric individuals back then, where now everybody, kind of falls in the line of how you're supposed to act as a blue checkmark person. It was so cool seeing Michael's, presence there, and just the confidence and talk. He's not offended to his core about somebody talking shit to him and then winning. He's almost more offended that they would think he was stupid enough to talk shit to him and think that that it was going to stay that way and that he wouldn't come back on him. But Ja was awesome posting that clip, and I'm sure somebody was talking shit to him after that, which it's hilarious for the Timberwolves to talk shit to anybody, and them thinking that they're going to steamroll the Grizzlies. They're equally as stinky as the Grizzlies. This is just two non-defensive, high-scoring teams playing each other. It makes for good basketball, but it's whoever's making their shots at the end of the night. Let's be real. And Ja, generational talent. I don't know why you'd talk shit to that guy. He's got no help. If he was on a team with help, he'd be top 5 if he's not even. And then at the end of the night, the nightcap, the upset of the evening. We'll go in order here. But starting with the Heat and the Hawks here. I thought Trey was going to take it over a little bit, and that's the difference, May have threw a couple bones on Trey hitting over 25 points. Thought that'd be easy. Thought it'd be a bounce-back game, but you can't think in these generic terms with stars that aren't acting godly or starly. If Trey was the man that he is or thinks that he is and, Mr. Wave goodbye to the crowd, he would have scored over 25 points yesterday, but he couldn't. He couldn't muster it up. His teammates were taking over, and I get it. Feed your teammates when they're hot. But the only time they're winning games and winning games well is when he's in the 30s and 40s. And, buddy, if you're not getting close to that, what do you think's going to happen? Who's picking up that slack? It's just math at that point. So Little disappointed in Trey's performance. Even if they lost, I thought Trey would have balled out a little bit. Jimmy Butler instead stole the stage and dropped over 40 points, scoring at will, choosing his shots, not worried or even thinking that he would miss. I bet when you're that good at scoring and then you see a couple go in, there's no chance that you believe that you're missing. That's got to be just an automatic feeling. But the Heat playing well-rounded. I think they're going to have trouble when they play a good team. There's just something about them that doesn't. Butler had a good game, but I don't think they can generate points as easily as I think they could. If they swapped out Kennard with Robinson, I think they'd be a little bit more of a dangerous lineup. But they got these 3-point and Hero. They got Hero there too. They got these 3-point shooters. Absolute darts. I get the why these guys are on the team and why they're in the rotation, but they need guys that'll score they need a Redick, they need a Kennard that can just come out and automatically light it up. I need 9 points, I need 6 points here, and you could trust that if the first one goes in, that about 2 or 3 more threes will follow, and that eats a run. You get a couple stops there, you just 8-9 points. That's at least 3/4 to half of a typical NBA discrepancy. So I think Heat are going to lose in the next round. Prove me wrong. I think the defense wins championships is overrated, especially when it comes to this new NBA. When every team's good, every team's got scores. So Hawks, I could take. Big home field advantage. With in Atlanta, yeah, right. And you're talking to the Miami Heat too. Eric Spoelstra, world class, getting the team to work together, especially with all the animosity and flaring heads. I mean, how awesome for them to come together. They're up 2-0 in the playoffs. They got to be happy with each other. I'm sure nobody's motherfucking each other when you're winning that good. So. I think that'll be either a clean sweep or maybe a 4-1. But Heat will lose the next series. Hawks got no chance. Next game, a little bit flashier. I can't think of his name. He played at Michigan State. He's the power forward for the Grizzlies. He is what a awesome Jarrett. I know I'm close. What an awesome transition. To the league. He reminds me so much of Kevin Garnett. So athletic, so long, so strong. That's a great that's another guy. If he was on a different team, I think he'd be doing good. Coming to the Pistons, you'd be surprised. But they hold it. Ja Morant looking like Mr. Jordan himself yesterday. The man can float. He's been shooting good. Dishing the ball good. They easily beat the Timberwolves. And you know what the problem is with all that supposed shit talking that happened in the first game? They could easily win. The Grizzlies could easily win 3 more and close these guys out. They don't have the production to make it happen every night. Where I'll bet on stars every night. Stars are stars, and that makes it. If you're a sports fan, that makes the difference. So 1-1, it's good to have a series at 1-1. I'm sure we'll be tuning into it tomorrow. I'm not going to cover the games tonight. Maybe I will. We'll see how the rest of the show goes. But, no, I'm feeling that way, but I copycatted my notes here a little bit where what's there to cover in the Suns game? If Booker's injury keeps up, I'll come back to it. I'll do a little bit on the show. But other than that, the Suns you're talking about the highest winning and most well-rounded, well-played, well-chemistrated team in the league. These guys, they play together. They obviously the locker room was under control. That level of efficiency in the NBA is nothing to turn your head at. That should be valued so much. It reminds me a little bit of when the Raptors were all together and the Raptors were winning all the time. The Warriors, they had that good of a record because they were blowing everybody out. But these guys, they just got the right pieces. If Booker stays hurt, that is a huge, huge loss. If I was the Suns, I wouldn't even be worried about it. That was a ref show yesterday. It's how it goes. Just like how there's puck luck in hockey playoffs, the refs, nobody controls the game, any professional game more than NBA refs. So I think they got one that night. I hate to blame anything on the refs, but man, I think they'll be all right. I think they will be all good. Who do we got tonight? You know what? I can work with that. We'll do a quick synopsis of what we got going on tonight, if you bear with me here, and then we'll wrap up the show. That way I won't talk shit about any former employers and get myself in trouble with a lawyer. Happy 420 to everybody. I hope you're celebrating safely today. If you're gonna roll a joint, these are the days. You're always like, I don't want to waste the weed. I don't want to this. I don't want to waste the medicine. Today, roll yourself a gram blunt, pop on a movie, don't eat until you're about 2 hours in. Don't kill that high of all that weed, that extra weed you wasted, and have a good day. Put on something goofy. Back in my day, there used to be shows that you would put on when you smoked a joint. Now you just scroll, watch YouTube videos, and then wait till some girl shows a little too much skin, and then you gotta go blow one off. Games tonight. Probably the best current series, the Nets and the Celtics. We'll see if there's a bounce back tonight. If it goes 2-zip, we might be looking at a long series there. Love how it's 7 o'clock too. So happy they don't stick, a game that good late at night. Shout out East Coast. Just 2 games tonight, Nets, Celtics, 76ers, Raptors. I'm so excited for the Nets and Celtics. I feel like, they're close enough in distance too that there's a little bit of bad blood there, but with both these games you're watching, are the experiments going to work? Nick Nurse, I put him up there with Spoelstra, one of my favorite coaches in the league. Dude is fucking so smart. He reminds me of homeboy that coaches the Celtics, Brad, I can't think of his name. Homeboy that coaches the Celtics, back when he was at Butler. You can tell these guys are just basketball nerds. They dream in if you've watched Winning Time, the coach that's in the hospital. These guys are dreaming of plays, dreaming of scenarios and lineups. I'd have him on my team any year. Nick Nurse, that was a huge replacement with Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey, probably a good developer, but man, they got a good one in him. What a great bounce back. That is hard to do. His coaching is what would scare me if I was part of the 76ers. They just win. Nick knows how to win. He knows how to get his guys right. He's got Siakam out there looking like freaking Durant. So we'll keep seeing if the 76ers experiment is working. Embiid is out there hobbling on stilts. One of the most extreme presences I've seen in the NBA since the likes of Shaquille O'Neal. He gets fucking buckets. Feed the ball to him. Harden ain't the man that he used to be. And there's got to be a Harden formula out there because they're getting them. And it's working. He's not as efficient and flashy and making the shots that he used to make. So we'll see if the Philly experiment works. If Embiid's playing, I see another 76ers loss tonight. Depends on how the supporting cast does. If the bench comes out and they start scoring like crazy, they got a better bench than the Raptors. But if the Raptors play a good concrete game all the way till the end, the Raptors could sneak one out because the Philly's getting there. I see that. I know the 2-0. I know you're saying, Charlie, your dad was right. You're missing a step. You're forgetting your keys. You're forgetting your wife's birthday. Nah, I'm just a piece of shit. You ever heard of a piece? I love when people are like, have you ever met a piece of shit before? You're looking at them. So I see the Raptors maybe sneaking one in tonight, especially with being at home. Nets Celtics, you tell me. I got the Nets sneaking one in tonight. Durant will actually hit his shots. If Durant's hitting his shots, Kyrie can pick up a lot of the slack. That dude makes his shots. That's what I love about Kyrie. People love the flashiness. I love how if you need a couple buckets, he can get them to you just like a role player. Wouldn't even be a mad scientist idea splitting those guys up. Having a Durant lineup, having a Kyrie lineup. I don't know if that works. I don't get paid to make that decision, but they might be able to. Marcus Smart's out there locking people down. When the 6th, 7th, and 8th, 9th men come out, the Nets should be outscoring them, and that math should work out to closer games. But I don't think they're getting the production done when their starters are out there. So who shows up tonight? That's all about the Nets and Celtics. I wish I had a better answer than that for you, but I don't think the Celtics can keep doing what they're doing. That was a flashy win. I got the Nets tonight, and I think we will wrap up the show there. Guys, thanks for listening. First one was super well received. This one was a lot better. We got going a lot faster. Big transition for me. I'm used to having a team of guys around, so we're going to get better and better. I appreciate everything. Make sure you follow me at Charlie A Podcast on Twitter. It's just like that. Shows are always on YouTube. Once you guys start rolling in and the viewers start rolling in, we'll get this on Spotify. But for now, we're just going to be on YouTube. I appreciate you guys finding me on YouTube. MMA community, thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking through this one. You guys are the best, the most supportive community, sports community, and Twitter community out there. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.